Good morning. Bonjour. I am very, very happy to be here with a group that's savvy about China. I got the exciting news on walking in that the Manulife China Opportunities Fund is up 50%, which is the only growth rate faster in the world than the country of China. That was really good news. And also, the fact that you're willing to talk about China and know about China is tremendous. I was across the border in Vermont recently where I was going to another conference for an American defense contractor, a company that cannot deal with China and cannot even send people to China without approval. And I was struck by how little the local Vermont economy has anything to do with China. Very, very different from Canada. I was being driven to my hotel by a limo driver who was a refugee from urban America, went to Vermont to kind of chill out. I was talking to him about why he decided to do that. He said he went to get in touch with his past lives and to make ends meet. He was selling antiques, doing a little bit on eBay, had a small store, and then he turned to me and he said, well, why are you in Vermont? And I said, well, I am here because I wrote a book on China. And he turned to me excitedly and he said, really? I wrote a book on stemware. And I thought, you know, your view on China really depends on where you sit. I don't think I could say China to a Manulife audience and anybody would think of stemware. But, you know, I have China on the mind all the time, so I thought, stemware, you know, it's interesting because our two topics connect. The Europeans invented fine tableware to compete with Chinese imports. So in effect, they were creating low-cost knockoffs of Chinese goods. You know, that's a reversal, but that's how English manufacturing and Northern European manufacturing got started. That's why we have Wedgwood and Delftware, and I thought, you know, and then in North America, we have this great enamelware business, and I was talking all about this, and he segued right back to his past lives. You know, my book, as you heard, is in 24 languages. It's in English, it's in French, but you know, the Chinese version of it in the People's Republic has a title I would have killed for. It's called China, America's Problem. I thought, wow, that would have been an even bigger seller had I had that title in the United States. But that's not a title that the book could have had in Canada because China challenges Canada, but China is a much bigger opportunity in Canada, I would say, than in the U.S. I've traveled quite a bit in Canada since the book came out, particularly in Western Canada, where China is a huge story on everyone's mind. As you all know, of course, the Prime Minister announced yesterday that he would be giving the 500,000 ethnic Chinese in Vancouver nation status. And you have in this country an incredible resource in the nation, which really was one of the first countries to establish goodwill with the People's Republic of China. When I was reporting my book, Canadians were an indispensable part of my project. One of my translators that I used in reporting the book is a native of Montreal. His name is Noah Weinswag. And we were in a park in Hangzhou in China, which is a beautiful city on a beautiful lake, one of the places where Chinese poets write about. And we were walking around the park, and we saw a Chinese man with a sign around his neck. And it had a picture of Sun Yat-sen, the original Chinese nationalist, on his sign around his neck. And I poked Noah, and I said, Noah, is that what I think it is? You know, that's not a usual sight in China. So we went up and we said, is that a nationalist sign you have around your neck, not a communist sign? And the guy lifted it up, and on the other side of the sign was a picture of Chiang Kai-shek, which is very inflammatory in China. So we were discussing why he had this picture, and he thought, oh, there should be one China, China's one nation, and all of the people in the park converged on us, and this very, very heated argument started. And some guy came up to Noah and he said, "Where are you from?" And Noah said, "I'm from Canada." And the man crossed his arms and he said, "China's better than Canada." And Noah said, "What would possess you to say a thing like that? I'm a guest in your country." And the man said, "Well, because the math scores of 6th graders in China are better than the math scores of 6th graders in Canada." And Noah didn't quite know what to make of it. So he said, "You know, that may be true, but there is a city in Canada that has 500,000 Chinese people. Is there a city in China that has 500,000 Canadians?" And the guy paused for a minute and goes, "Well, Beijing has a lot of Canadians. I think it has 1,000. Which in China, of course, is not a very big number. But 500,000 in Canada means that your economy has within it great intermediaries for phenomenal opportunities in this new world, which is being led by a growing Chinese economy. Of course, you all know that the news every day in the U.S. and in Canada is filled with China news, particularly interesting here in Canada recently because of Stephen Harper's willingness to raise issues of human rights and human dignity with the Chinese and, in effect, get himself frozen out of many important discussions. It's very dangerous to start talking about human rights and democracy with the Chinese because they have a tendency to take you seriously. And when you talk about that, that's when they start freezing you out of meetings because it is a powerful issue there. It does mean a lot to the government to manage that issue, and watching this whole dynamic unfold is going to be very, very interesting. And as you all know, it's tough for Canada because Canada is in this tough balancing act where China is a willing buyer of lots of resources that come out of Canada, but Canada is one of China's oldest and best friends because it did believe in human dignity, and it is a country that carries that banner for the rest of the world. Another reason why I'm happy to be here. But there's some more prosaic news in today's Globe and Mail about China, about the Teachers' Pension Fund buying ports. This may not seem like a Chinese story to you, but it is, because the shipping traffic in the world is growing geometrically because of the volume of trade from China. You know, the United States brings in about $250 billion U.S. Worth of Chinese goods every year, up from 0 20 years ago. Canada brings in about 1/10 of that. And the local pension fund sees that port infrastructure is a place to play the new global realities, the new global economy. And I've been crisscrossing North America, looking at ports all over the east and west coasts. And I would say one of the more interesting strategies for this does exist up here in Canada, where you have the only transcontinental railroad in North America. And the port activity from Vancouver, Prince Rupert Island, all the way over to Vancouver is going gangbusters, all ready to accept the new giant ships that are traversing the ocean, which themselves are emblems of China's trade with the United States. There are currently a whole new crop of container ships, I don't know if any of you have seen the pictures of these, that carry 14,000 20-foot container equivalent units. That's about, 7,000 truck trailers worth of stuff. If you emptied just one of those ships, you would fill the Mall in Alberta, the Mall of America, any of the world's biggest retail spaces. Beijing is building some that are this size too, by the way, with about 10 feet high worth of merchandise. Take every square foot of one of those retail environments, empty a ship onto it, the whole place is filled, and there's about 30% more besides. And these ships just come one after another. And the investments in infrastructure are getting more and more popular. As you all know, real estate investment trusts are becoming extremely popular. They're an infrastructure play because people are building warehouses all across North America to accommodate the trade that's coming from China of stuff that used to be manufactured here.